So I have a situation here where I'm not happy with how my toilet blocks are defined here. And in AutoCAD, we have three different ways we can modify our blocks. We can explode and redefine, which is kind of the older method of doing things. It's been there the longest. We can use the edit block in place option, or we can use the block editor. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to make a change to this toilet block. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the edit block in place. Now, with this command, unlike the explode and redefine option, I don't have to worry about the rotation, the scale. I don't have to worry about the insertion point because it won't allow me to redefine it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an edit block in place. I'm just selecting that option. In this case, we can see there's one block. There's no nested blocks of any type. So I can see I've got this toilet block. And I'm going to automatically select all nested objects. Now, if I didn't want to work with all objects in that particular block, I could actually prompt and pick the objects I want to work with. And I can see here that when I pick this, that it is going to lock objects not currently in the working set. So it's on the settings there. So I'm going to click OK. And notice that everything else has become grayed out, or ghosted, I should say, not really grayed out. And notice that all other instances of the block have disappeared. Now, if I take a look here, the edit reference ribbon here or panel has been added to every single tab here. So you can see that even the annotate tab, the edit reference block has been added. Now I'm using AutoCAD Mechanical, but the process is exactly the same whether I'm using AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD Electrical, if I'm using AutoCAD Architecture, the process is exactly the same. So a couple things I want to do here. One is I don't really want this circle to be part of the block, but I would like to use that in my drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove that from the working set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circle and actually copy that out. So you can see that I was able to remove that from the block. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a change here. So I'm going to extend this back here, and I'm going to use the extend function to extend that up. And then I'll use the trim function to clean it up. So you can see I was just able to make some changes there. Okay, so I'm happy with the changes I've made. I've copied that object out, made my changes, it looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm simply going to save the changes. So it's going to come up and say, are you sure? Now in this case, this is something that's specific to AutoCAD Mechanical because it actually gives me the options here to change name or to change the base point. This feature here is specific to AutoCAD Mechanical, so you won't see this if you're just using AutoCAD or if you're using some other flavor of AutoCAD. So I'm going to click OK, and what I can see now is notice that the block has updated, and notice that the circle is now free. It's not part of that block anymore. Okay, well, I'd like to kind of redefine this block. So I'm going to explode this actually, and I'm going to make the first block here, and let's just call this let's call this toilet seat. And what my base point is, my base point is going to be here. Here's my objects that I want to use, and I'm going to click OK. So that's now my toilet seat. I'm now going to use the create block option, and I'm going to redefine the toilet. And this is actually going to end up rotating everything, but I'm just going to make a point here. So let's select that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that block and the block itself. So now what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to end up with a block within a block. So now notice when I come in here and I run the edit block in place. So here's my edit block in place. Notice I could actually come in here and I can actually drill straight down from here straight into that toilet seat. So I don't need to kind of, go into the toilet and I need to go into the toilet seat. I can actually drill right down into the toilet seat. So when I click OK, notice how it has put me straight into that mode. And you can see that I've actually included too much geometry here. But again, I could copy that out or do something different in that effect. So this advantage of the edit block in place is how I can drill down and directly work with blocks that are within blocks. So in this case, what I'd like to do is I'd like to copy that out. So let's come in here and let's remove this from the working set. So we'll take this, we'll simply remove that. That's been updated. Let's add a small circle in here because this is my toilet seat. I'm going to save the changes, click OK, and notice how that has been updated in all instances. So there you have it. That's the edit block in place. Again, the pros to it, especially compared with the explode and redefine option, is that you can select the block that you want to work with. So whether it's nested or not, and you don't need to explode it, and you don't need to worry about am I working with the original orientation of the block? What was my insertion point? You can work with that in that instance. It also has the advantage that you can actually copy out geometry and copy in geometry. Now, really, the only downside to this is that you can't work with dynamic blocks. So if you have a dynamic block, so let me just drop in a dynamic block here. So I can see that I've got this dynamic block here. If I right click on it and I do an edit block in place, I can see I'm doing a reference edit, and you can see that it's got custom block properties. So you can see it's going to break the link to the original definition and create a new block definition. So you're actually going to get a static block based on the geometry. So the edit block in place cannot be used with dynamic blocks.